Night of the Sentinels, an X-Men adventure, published by Random House.
Just how random are we? Check this out. Archipelago, Zither, Aubergine, Festooned. Pretty damn random, huh? Nipple, there's another one.
Henry Peter Gyrick, head of the Mutant Control Agency, rushed to a secret base to interrogate the young mutant Jubilee.
There was only a repeat of Celebrity Pointless on that night, so a bit of light interrogation was just what the Doctor ordered.
That very night, the X-Men had succeeded in destroying thousands of mutant registration files stored at agency headquarters.
The pressing need for a paperless office graphically displayed.
Gyrick was determined to find out who these mutants were, any way he could.
Unfortunately, all their documentation had been destroyed, so that was out of the question.
Mutant control file number 1123, subject Jubilee.
He had captured Jubilee.
We know, it was pretty much the first thing you said.
As he was sure she would lead him to the X-Men.
You can help us identify the most dangerous mutants of all.
I don't know anything. I'm just a kid.
Whose microphone is much too far away.
Meanwhile, the X-Men's Blackbird jet returned home to the X-Mansion, site of Professor Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters and training ground for the young mutant X-Men.
See, if I was trying to locate the X-Men, I'd definitely start at the X-Mansion. But that's just me.
Alas, dear friends, Morph is no longer, and Beast has been captured.
There, the X-Men learned that their colleague Morph was dead.
I don't envy whichever of the X-Men has to break it to Tony Hart.
And that fellow mutant Beast had been arrested for subversion and was in jail awaiting trial.
Well, if he identifies himself as Beast when he takes the stand, I'm sure things will go swimmingly for him.
Wolverine took the news hardest of all. Cyclops tried to help.
I know you feel badly.
You don't know nothing, little man.
Wolverine stormed out. He didn't need to listen to the feeble condolences of that goody-goody Cyclops. He needed to be alone with his pain.
Because when you have razors coming out of your hands, even whacking it to the latest episode of Dream On is pure agony.
Angry and hurt, he left the X-Mansion and drove to a secluded spot where he could think.
Because Wolverine generated the biggest thought bubbles of any X-Man.
I'll avenge you, friends. I swear it.
Not sure that thought was worth the drive. You could probably have come up with that one in the X-Mansion's crapper.
Back at the mansion, while watching the president on TV, Cyclops hatched a plan. But he would need Wolverine's help.
And his Netflix password.
Last night, renegade mutants attacked the Mutant Control Agency. The attack was foiled by experimental robot policemen called Sentinels.
Where the hell was Rotor when all this was happening? Damn you, Cold Iron, you dropped the ball again.
Wolverine was shooting pool in a local roadhouse when Cyclops finally caught up with him. He was still angry.
Not angry enough to go out and rescue his friends, just angry enough to shoot pool in a local roadhouse, of which I imagine there are a lot in Westchester County.
If you've come to apologize for leaving Beast and Morph behind, save your breath.
I don't apologize for making command decisions.
I do apologize for ripping ass just now. Hopefully the smell of cigar smoke will obscure the worst of it.
But how would you like to locate the Sentinels' home base?
I thought they only shopped at B&Q.
When and where?
But really, most of all, where?
That evening, the president sent for Gyrick and told him to shut down the mutant registration program. She was concerned that the program might be putting mutants in danger instead of protecting them. Gyrick hid his anger.
Then later on he completely forgot where he hid his anger, and it was days before it turned up again. It's always in the last place you look.
Those mutants were willing to sacrifice their lives.
And by the way, Gyrick, what the hell is that sound effect in the background?
Did they have good reason to feel threatened?
Just outside the president's office, Gyrick's portable phone rang.
Luckily, Gyrick was also just outside the president's office too, so he was able to answer it.
It was Jubilee's father.
One of the mutants is here.
He still believed the Mutant Control Agency was supposed to help mutants, and he wanted to cooperate by reporting them.
He was Marjorie Taylor Greene level stupid.
Cyclops was at his house. He said he was there to ask about Jubilee.
Keep him there.
I don't care how seductive you have to be, but it would be really helpful if you filmed it, in HD if at all possible.
Gyrick sent a Sentinel to capture the mutant.
I don't know whether I would have used scent and sentinel in the same sentence. See, now I've done it. Sentence, damn.
The giant robot arrived almost at once.
And yet I'm still waiting for the nail clippers I ordered from Amazon Prime 3 days ago.
As Cyclops left the house, a Sentinel loomed over him.
Surrender, mutant.
Of course. Not.
Ah, I see what you did there.
Cyclops removed his protective glasses and hit the robot with an optic blast from his powerful mutant eyes. The Sentinel's arm crashed onto a neighbor's lawn. Then the robot turned to fly away.
Boeing should have blamed their problems on Cyclops too.
Sentinel returning to base for repairs.
Maybe a snack, listen to my podcasts.
Nearby, Storm monitored the robot's flight path.
I have the Sentinel on radar.
She worked the controls on the jet's flight panel and prepared to follow the robot as Cyclops had instructed.
The robot has another arm. I feel like it gave up too easily.
The Blackbird took off in pursuit of the wounded Sentinel. The X-Men knew the robot would lead them to its base. Cyclops' plan was working like a charm.
And what happens to the severed robotic arm? Is it discovered by Miles Dyson?
The damaged robot crash-landed into the generator of the Sentinel base, cutting off all power. Jubilee's electromagnetic cuffs suddenly came loose.
Does the collar match them?
She sat up and grinned.
All right, time to blast out of this bogus joint.
And blast she did, right through the wall. She shot powerful plasmoids from her fingertips and made a hole big enough to run through.
I'm just so happy for her, I'm not even going to ask what plasmoids are, or question the use of the word bogus.
Gyrick saw her escape and ordered his robot force into action.
Stop her.
By going into action.
From out of nowhere, the robots appeared. Jubilee was surrounded by Sentinels.
She actually sounds kind of bored by it.
She sank to her knees with a groan.
Oh no, I just wanted to go home.
But there was Cyclops. Had the X-Men come to rescue her?
Jubilee, duck.
Jubilee duck? Is that like duck served with cherries Jubilee? Sounds delicious.
Cyclops fixed a Sentinel with a powerful optic blast and knocked its head off. The X-Men were on the scene. Gambit charged in and swung down to rescue Jubilee.
I thought swinging was Spider-Man's thing. This kind of feels like copyright infringement.
Did you miss me, Petit?
Oh.
Storm lured one Sentinel high up into the clouds, then zapped him back to Earth with a lightning bolt.
Fair enough, but I'm still not clear what happens to a toad when it gets struck by lightning.
Another Sentinel pounded Rogue into the floor, but her mutant powers protected her, and she wasn't hurt at all.
Don't even question it. Moving on.
She shook her head and got up,
Y'all ought to learn how to behave.
and promptly hammered that robot into scrap metal.
We don't appear to have a sound effect for that, so thank God for me, the narrator.
She hurled its ruined metal shell through the air with her awesome strength.
This time we did have an effect, but it sort of sounds like someone dropping an empty dog food tin on the floor.
Wolverine leaped onto the back of the last Sentinel and clawed his way upward until he reached its neck. With a mighty cry, he plunged his adamantium claws into its neck.
This one's for you, Morph!
So had he been planning to stab Morph in the neck? I'm so confused.
The Sentinel collapsed under Wolverine with a loud crash.
That wasn't it, though. You'll have to imagine it for yourself.
Ruined Sentinels lay everywhere. Gyrick had fled. The X-Men had succeeded.
And now they're going to Disneyland. Almost certainly since the buyout of Fox.
Is this all of them?
Yeah.
Ain't that enough?
Well, it certainly was a night of the Sentinels, I'm not going to lie to you.
It was time for Jubilee to say goodbye to her foster parents. She knew now that Professor X's School for Gifted Youngsters was the best place for her. There she would take her rightful place with the other X-Men and learn how to use her mutant powers for the benefit of mankind.
The mankind that's persistently trying to murder them.
Her parents were sorry to see her go, but they understood.
You will come back and visit.
Does a mall baby eat chili fries?
With a tear in her eye, Jubilee waved goodbye to her old life. Her future as one of the X-Men lay ahead.
But the chili fries remained purely speculative.
For more exciting action, be sure to check out Enter the X-Men.
Lube may be required.
A book and audio cassette adventure available only from Random House.